All right, here we go. Hold my banners underway. And I've been flying that banner so high. But for this episode, I am concerned. Travis Thomas here with the walking, talking triple-double. Producer extraordinaire, Ante Campbell. Tay, I don't love the news about Kristaps Porzingis, a rare leg injury.
Yeah.
Oh, man, we're flying so high. Up 2-0. 2-0 on Luka and the Mavs. And now you're telling me Porzingis, who we've waited so long to get healthy, is banged up again with a rare leg injury. Oh.
Yeah, did you see the conflicting messages between him and Joe Mazzulla, though?
No.
All right, let's bring these tweets up,
All right, this is a Woj bomb you're showing here for our audio audience. It says, Kristaps Porzingis told reporters he's determined and expects to continue to try and play with this tendon injury in the finals. For now, there's no indication he'll be ruled out and not permitted to try in Game 3. But you're telling me there's some conflicting reports here. So Here we go. Joe Mazzulla says Kristaps Porzingis' injury is, quote, serious. We've taken the decision to play out of his hands.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about this here. Porzingis isn't going to play in Game 3. Now, fine, right? Like, we get it. You're up 2-0. Rest, get back. We heard Porzingis, remember, after the game say, I'll die out there. I'm going to play. No, that wording, that verbiage saying we're taking it out of his hands tells me, no. You're not going to play at least in Game 3. If Dallas wins that game, Monte, that's really the conversation to have. I think you and I imagine, and all of Celts Nation has to feel like, don't play him in Game 3. Cool. But if they lose that game, I think you can have a combo now. Do you hold him out for Game 4 too? And if Dallas ties the series, do you? I mean, boy, that gets a little hairy there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right about Game 3. If they wait until Friday for Game 4, then they'll have 5 days off to get through this injury. 3 days is just kind of with the travel and the flying. Now, I saw him walking around yesterday.
He didn't have a limp.
He didn't have a limp. He looked pretty good. But I don't think you risk it, once again, up 2-0 in this series. I think you take Game 3 off for him and then see what happens in Game 4.
Listen, I'm looking at the schedule now. So like you said, you got – man, I mean, look, they're back in Boston on the 17th. So if you didn't play him 3 or 4, by the way, officially Porzingis is listed as questionable for Game 3. So this is going to be one of those day-to-day situations, right? We're not going to know until close to game time, which is annoying as hell for what we do, of course, because we want to talk about it. So we'll bring Ante back later in the program. He always comes in with a game that I'm sure to be terrible at. But listen, I my wife gave me the ultimate compliment. She said, no one quite self-deprecates like you. And I said, well, I mean, in an industry of all the geniuses that talk at you and tell you how smart they are, I talk with you. The show is communal. And I don't mind, not taking myself too seriously. I'm usually wrong anyways. So I took that as a backhanded compliment, nonetheless, from my wife, but still a compliment. So I want to start with Game 3 here in my prediction. So with or without Porzingis, it didn't really affect my decision either way. I thought, and I still feel, that the Mavericks are going to win Game 3. This is too talented of a team to get swept. I know. I get it. I was down there for Game 2 on Causeway Street. We were all making the jokes about the brooms, and it still could come to fruition. But even more so now with the Porzingis news, I'm just like, this Dallas team's too damn talented to get swept. Doesn't mean they can't lose in 5. Doesn't mean we maybe could have an extended series. Hell, it doesn't even mean they don't get swept. But my prediction is home cooking for Kyrie is needed in the worst way. I mean, those first 2 games here in Boston, he's on the back of a milk carton missing. And he could sit there and play the game of well, I thought it would be louder or it doesn't really affect me. BS, bro. We see it. Now, the Celtics deserve a ton of credit for the defense that they're playing on Kyrie, of course. But it's also clearly mental. It's in his head, and he's having troubles here in town. So now you go back home. You get that home cooking. You get your fans. You get the benefit of some calls that maybe weren't going your way in the Garden. I expect Kyrie to be much better. I also, quite frankly, expect the Mavs to be not necessarily inspired, but maybe encouraged with the news of Kristaps Porzingis. Remember, game one, he was absolute gangbusters. He was clearly an X factor in that game and a huge cog and piece to why the Celtics beat that ass in game one. Game two, Porzingis was not as dynamic, not as great. And then, of course, we saw him get banged up late, which we're dealing with now in that game. But still, he's still such a force. Even in game two, the scoring wasn't there, but altering shots, blocking shots, his defensive presence, and he did have 12 points. So I look at this as the Mavericks can now feel like, okay, we're at home. They're without one of their best players, potentially. Let's go take care of business and get back in this series. You win one, you're back in this series, and then all the pressure shifts back to Boston because we know damn well it will be pandemonium if the Celtics lose game four and you have a series tied at 2-2. We all know that. The other thing I think the Mavericks have to be a little concerned about, but also just keep doing what you're doing, give Luka another damn shot before game three. Reports have come out. He took some sort of pain-killing shot before game two to play with all the ailments that he has, and we saw him show up and show out with a triple-double. So I look at this as, hell, yeah, you're at home. I get it. Couple days off in between. Give him another shot. If you do that, all those things combined, I think the Mavericks win game three, and then we'll see. We could have a series here. All right, so here's the other thing that jumped out to me. I saw Jason Tatum is still the betting favorite. We knew, and we talked about this here on Hold My Banner, when the series opened, Jason Tatum was the MVP for the finals betting favorite. And we pretty much was like, yeah, okay, duh. He hasn't really played that great throughout the playoffs, but you understand why he's the betting favorite. Now we're a couple games in, and I saw a lot of pushback of people being like, well, why is he still the betting favorite? Clearly Jaylen Brown is doing this. Clearly Drew Holiday is doing that. I even heard Derek White's name being thrown around. Listen, Jason Tatum, I keep telling you, I've told you all playoff long. Even though his offensive uptick isn't upticking, and it's been down all playoffs. People talk about the finals. No, it's been like this the entire postseason. He is still helping you win in other ways. He's crashing boards. He's distributing the basketball and dropping dimes all over the place. He's doing a great job. He has not shot the ball well, and defenses definitely have keyed in on him and have done a great job of neutralizing him and making it tough for him. But in the end, he's helping you win. And I told you from the beginning, I mean, going back to the Heat series, I said this is what I respect about Jason Tatum. We have seen so many stars in this league and in others. How many diva wide receiver meltdowns have we seen over the years because they're not an offensive focal point, right? Same thing in the NBA. We've seen that time and time again. Jason Tatum doesn't do that. He just says, okay, they're stopping me on defense, or I'm not shooting the ball well. Now, we all want him, especially me, to be more assertive and more aggressive. I get that. But this is just temperament that I'm talking about. This dude continues to fill and stuff the stat sheet in other ways. So he should be NBA Finals MVP as far as a betting favorite is concerned. Right now, for the record, if I had a vote, which I don't, but if I did and it ended right now, I'd give it to Jaylen Brown. And certainly you could make a compelling case, and I wouldn't argue with you, for Drew Holiday. Jason Tatum will be third on my list. But all it takes is one big game offensively where he does get 30 and he does shoot better and he does have a big performance and a big moment on a big stage. Closeout game, you can just give it to him. I mean, hell, if they sweep the Mavs or it's a gentleman sweep and Tatum gives you a big game in Game 4 or Game 5, it's over. He's getting the MVP of the finals. But, I mean, the fact that he's doing this in other ways and still helping you win, A, it shows you how great the Celtics team is in terms of the pieces around him. But B, it also shows you his personality. I keep telling you, it's just different how this team wins. It's not what we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing what Luka's doing. I'm playing hurt. I'm getting a shot before the game, and get on my back, and I'm going to carry us. That's not how this Celtics team is built. That's not Jason Tatum's temperament. I believe because he's helping you in other ways, if he gives you one decent scoring game that's better than what we've seen, and the Celtics win the series, he's going to be MVP. And you know what? He's already finals MVP, if you ask me, at the podium, because all the guy does is praise his teammates.
How does it affect your mindset in knowing that you have all those weapons, in a game like this where you're getting blitzed, you're seeing guys come at you? Like, how does it affect you knowing that you don't have to, quote unquote, be the guy?
I mean, there's different ways, I guess, to phrase that. It's not all about scoring. I can be the guy by, rebounding and getting assists and drawing attention, right? When I have the ball in certain spots, right, I draw so much attention. I'm not always going to be the guy to get the shot. But, sometimes sacrificing, being in those spots to make the play that we get the best shot possible, knowing that, what they want to take away in their schemes and things like that. So, being the guy in different ways. Maybe you don't score all the points, but you do all the things to, put you guys in the best position to win.
There it is. He's authentic, too. This isn't some forced... some athletes get up there and you could tell they're just saying the right things, but they don't really feel it. I saw that a lot from Kobe Bryant, the late great Kobe Bryant, who Jason Tatum worships. But Kobe a lot of times will get up there. Sometimes he wouldn't say the right things if he's really emotional, but at times, most of the time, Kobe said all the right stuff at the podium, but you could feel it. You could feel the tension. You knew damn well in the back he was cussing all those teammates out. Jason Tatum is authentic with this stuff. This is really who he is. It's a gift and a curse for him, right? Like, his personality is more communal. It's more like, come on, guys, let's go. And not as much, no, give me the ball, get out of the way. That's not who he is. So that's why we hear this stuff at the podium. Now, it's boring as all get out. Just like his outfit there. Boring. Just like the Celtics. There's no drama. There's no infighting. Hell, we in the media are creating it out of nowhere. I mean, it's out of thin air, out of our arse. We're trying to make this thing between teammates and who's the man, who's... This team's boring, and that's okay. The Spurs were boring. I mean, Tim Duncan never raised his voice at anyone. Tim Duncan never... I don't even remember. I watched all of Tim Duncan going back to Wake. I don't remember any posterized dunks from Tim Duncan. You didn't get any Sean Kemp from Tim Duncan. I don't remember him screaming on someone after a putback. Hell, I don't remember many putbacks. I remember rebound, go up, lay up, boom, run down, play defense. It's okay. The most drama I can remember from those Spurs teams was Tony Parker's love life, him cheating. That was it. That was off the court. On the court, they were a nap. They were boring as all get out. Guess what? Those rings count. Those championships count. That legacy counts. They're a modern-day dynasty. It all counts. In fact, I think the narrative around the Celtics, this team, will change with a sweep or a gentleman's sweep of the Mavs. Now, if this Porzingis thing is bigger than we all think, and he's done for the playoffs, and the Mavericks scratch and claw their way back, and this goes 7, and the Celtics win, okay. But I'm telling you, if they continue to beat Luka's ass the way they're doing it, and it goes 4 or 5, the whole narrative changes. History will be kind to the Celtics team. Think about this. There are musicians, athletes, former presidents who history has been more kind to them and has propped them up higher in the all-time discussions than when they were in office or making music or playing the game, whatever it is, in the court of public opinion. It happens all the time. And look, I think if the Celtics can make an example out of this Mavericks team, especially with Porzingis getting hurt now, if they still can complete the sweep or it goes 5 games, even the numbers will support them as history goes on. Yeah, maybe some of us in town will look back and say, yeah, they were kind of boring, or I didn't know too much about Joe Mazzulla, but hey, they got the ring. We'll say that. But outside of this town, no one's really going to nitpick in that way. They're just going to say, hey, look, the numbers don't lie. In fact, if you look at the numbers, and we all know the criticisms, right? This team's soft. They haven't played anyone. All the injuries. The East is weak. We've all heard it, and it's all blah, blah, blah. But the numbers do not lie. 3rd overall in defensive rating this season. 1st overall in offensive rating. They ran away with the number 1 seed early on in the season and never relinquished it like last season when the Bucks hawked them down. Now, if they can complete this sweep or gentleman's sweep, as I said, of the Mavs, they've only lost, if you look at it, 2 or maybe 3 games during a dominant postseason run. You don't think history is going to be kind of that? Of course it is. How about the roster? We talked about this. A handful of Hall of Famers. Now, some of you pushed back when I said Al Horford, but I do believe Al Horford's going to be a Hall of Famer, especially with the ring. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, potentially Hall of Famer in a Drew Holiday. I mean, what the hell does 2 rings do to his legacy, especially the way he's playing now? And then you got to throw this in. Think about it. Brad Stevens. Again, Basketball Hall of Fame. All-encompassing. College, pro, coach, now front office. It's not crazy to think that Brad Stevens could be a Hall of Famer down the line. So I just think, again, much like the Spurs, I get it. There's nothing sexy here. There's no headlines. There's no fireworks show to look at. But in the end, numbers don't lie. And history has been kind to those Spurs teams. The NBA Finals ratings weren't great. But even the ratings, the Celtics are winning that. People are tuning in. The ratings have been great so far in 2 games. So, look, the most important fact is this. As I give you all those numbers, whatever, however you want to slice it, we're just 2 wins away from banner number 18. It feels so good. So, Tay, let's bring on Tay back in, even though I am very concerned about this Porzingis injury. You're just 2 wins away. Just figure out how to win 2 more, baby. I don't care. Whatever it does, however you get our blood pressures high on the route to get there, just get 2 more wins, please.
Yeah, I'm with you. If they win this championship, the history's definitely going to be kind to them. I would agree with that. I think right now when we're living in the moment, we're like giving them the Jordan excuse, like, oh, they're playing a bunch of plumbers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I think as we go on to look, like, people are going to think, how did Brad Stevens fleece Porzingis and 2 picks for Marcus Smart
and Drew Holiday,
and he got Drew Holiday
and Derek White
for ailing Robert Williams, who was always hurt and never available,
bro,
and a point guard that Malcolm Brogdon that they didn't want as well,
bruh.
And they got Drew Holiday and Porzingis out of it. So I'm with you with that. Where you lost me is the Spurs not being interested as a basketball fan. I loved watching Spurs basketball. It was so much fun watching Boris Diaw throw behind the back passes out of nowhere. Manu coming in looking like an old grandpa at the grocery store doing Euro steps around actual athletic people. That was actually fun to watch because it was a team full of misfits, honestly. Bro. Full of misfits, full of guys that really didn't have the athleticism to be NBA players. A bunch of, like, George Niang's, basically, surrounded by, obviously, the GOAT power forward, Tim Duncan. And then, a bunch of George Niang's running around just getting buckets.
Can I tell you something? If we were in court right now,
yes,
all I would say to the judge is, Your Honor, Councilman Ante just used Fun and Boris Diaw in the same sentence. The defense has no further question. And I'd just sit down. I'd sit down.
Oh,
that's all I'd say.
My God.
Fun and Boris Diaw in the same breath.
That's
Your
funny.
Honor, no further question. And you know what the judge will say? Case closed. The Spurs were boring as hell.
Bang the gavel. That's hilarious.
Bang it. We send you to NBA boring prison for life.
Oh, man.
Look, I don't miss. Look, you're right. They were a great dynasty, all that. Tim Duncan, the GOAT, power forward. No arguments.
Yeah.
I don't miss watching that team play. I tell you that damn much.
I like it a lot more than watching the Dallas Mavericks play in the finals. That's for sure. But all right, let's switch it over to Stop Me When. You love this game. It's Stop Me When you find a better player than James Worthy. Obviously, we brought him up last episode as your guest in Winning 7. You thought, we were talking about James Worthy, but we were talking about another great power forward in Dirk Nowitzki. So I had to bring it back, man. James Worthy, all right? So Stop Me When, all right? You ready for this?
I mean, I also said Tim Duncan, to be fair.
You did.
Yeah, go ahead. Just go ahead. I suck at these. You do this on purpose.
Yeah, so just stop me when you have a better player than James Worthy, all right? Rasheed Wallace.
I'm not stopping you for no damn Rasheed Wallace. I was a fan of Rasheed, too. I actually hate that I agree with Draymond Green when they were trash talking, but Draymond Green said, your Pistons team is not stopping the Splash Bros and my Warriors in their prime. And he's absolutely right. And he said, we would just put you on the move and put you in a blender, bro.
And he's wearing the Air Forces or whatever.
I hate agreeing with Draymond, but he's absolutely right. And I love Sheed. Big fan. Obviously, growing up in that D.C. area, he played for the Bullets at that time, and everyone loved Sheed.
Yeah.
But, we're talking about James Worthy.
Right.
Here.
He would be better in this era than he was then. But
Facts.
all right.
Facts.
Robert Parrish.
Look, I'm going to be respectful.
Yeah.
Because of where I'm at.
Where you're at. You're in Boston. Remember
All
that.
hail the Chief, I'm taking James Worthy.
Okay. What about Zoe? Alonzo Mourning.
Oh, okay. This is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
James Worthy was a better pure scorer, I believe, than Alonzo Mourning.
Yeah, I would say so.
But he also had the benefit of being on Showtime.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe didn't have that benefit.
Yep.
Now, he wasn't on terrible teams.
No. He won a chip.
Even in Charlotte, going back.
Yep.
But he was the focal point, especially in the Charlotte years, even certain years in Miami. As he got older, he got a better supporting cast for that ring you're talking about.
Yep.
This is a very good one. I would still go James Worthy.
Okay.
But I always respected what Zoe brought in terms of leadership, toughness, grit, defense. He had that dog.
Yep.
But it's tough for me. Some of this could be romanticized, too, in my head because I didn't really watch Worthy's entire career.
Of course.
And I saw Zoe's entire career.
Right.
So some of I'll admit, some of that is romanticized of James Worthy is this. But that's a very good one. I will go James Worthy. That's a 12-round bout right there.
Yeah. All right. What about Tracy McGrady?
I have to go Tracy McGrady in terms of gifts. Pure, raw. I mean, he was just there's a lot of players I would actually take Tracy McGrady over. But, they play different positions.
Yep.
This is obviously what we're doing. This exercise here is just who's a better player. If we're running pickup, and I got both guys in their prime, I'm taking Tracy McGrady. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just being real. I'm not saying he had a better career.
No.
I'm taking Tracy McGrady.
I think it's tough. You know what I mean? Just going back to knowing who James Worthy was at UNC. You know what I mean? Before he even got to the league, how much of a killer.
He's a star. He was a star. He's a Hall of Famer.
But, I don't hate that take. I think, T-Mac's a great player, of course. So, all right, we'll keep it rolling, though. Carmelo Anthony.
It's also showing our age. Old timers are going nuts right now.
Yes.
Look, I covered Melo all the way through. I covered him in high school. I got to go James Worthy. I just think Look, let me say this respectfully. If Melo was on the Showtime Lakers, he would have been just fine. And he would have got the rings, right?
Right.
But he didn't.
Yeah.
And so in the same way where I'm like, look, I watched Zoe be the man and like actually do a great job at it.
Yeah.
And he never had the horses around him until he got older and he got a ring.
Yep.
He aged gracefully. There's something to be said for being able to age and be in the league to then be on a greater team where your individual accolades have already been accomplished.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that. You deserve credit for that.
Right.
I don't think Melo aged well.
Right.
And I think because a lot of players that we see, I don't think he took it as serious as a Kobe or whatever. So, or a LeBron.
Yep.
I'm going to go James Worthy.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go James Worthy for the same reasons, just because I think Melo, there's some, grace in being able to know that, hey, I'm not the number one guy. Obviously, James Worthy, a number one overall pick in the NBA draft, and not the number one guy on his team. Obviously, we know he was probably the third guy.
That's right.
On his championship teams. So it's grace in being able to accept that role.
Yeah.
It took Melo way too long to accept that he couldn't be the best player.
And it should be
on the
noted because we brought up Tracy McGrady, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't win anything either of note, but injuries derailed him.
Yep.
Right? Melo, that wasn't the case. Melo just kind of faded away.
Yeah. All right. What about Blake Griffin?
Stop. James Worthy.
Okay.
It's not even worth. What are we doing? Dunk contest? Blake Griffin. or what are we doing? We jumping over Kias?
Yeah.
Okay, Blake, come with me. No Kias?
Yeah.
James Worthy, thanks.
What about this one? This one was interesting for me. Dennis Rodman.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
I would go Worthy because of the scoring. But I get it. Like, that's a fair discussion.
Yeah.
Defensively, forget it. Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Rebounds, we know, right?
Right.
I think Worthy because of the scoring and also the leadership, too.
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman was a pain in the ass. Dennis Rodman needed leaders around him to keep him corralled.
Right.
James Worthy could be the leader in your locker room if it presented itself. He never really had to be. Yep. He was a leader in his locker room. Mm-hmm. He didn't need to be but I would be completely comfortable if James Worthy's on the Rockets or something in his playing career, being the best player and also the leader in the locker room.
Yeah.
Dennis Rodman ain't leading anyone except all of y'all to the bar or the strip club. Come on.
100%. What about Dwight Howard?
James Worthy. Dwight Howard's a head case. Gifted as all get out.
Yep.
It should be Dwight Howard.
It should be.
But upstairs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
James Worthy.
What about Paul Pierce?
You're gonna name the whole damn league? I'd take Paul Pierce.
Yep.
I would. Paul Pierce was the man on bad teams forever, got the stats, got the individual accolades. That's part of this. And then when he got the guys around him, he proved he could be a champion.
Yep.
He had that dog in him. He played defense. Yep. I told you, I'm a big Paul Pierce fan in terms of I think he's one of the most underrated stars of all time.
Yeah, and then last one.
All right.
Tim Duncan. This is easy.
Tim Duncan. Boring. But so was James Worthy.
Yeah.
Tim Duncan's better at him than being boring, too. All right, I want to ask you this because we're in the finals here.
Yep.
So you and I were talking about this the other day, and it was an argument. So I'm going to bring everyone behind the scenes. We were talking about the LeBron block in Game 7 of the 2016 finals where they beat the Warriors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we agreed together. I don't know where we disconnected because we agreed together at the same time that, yes, that is an all-time moment, if not the all-time moment in finals history.
Yep.
Where we, I believe, disconnected was I mentioned Giannis's block on DeAndre Ayton in their finals a few years back, and I said, it's not as great as LeBron's, but it's not talked about enough. Somehow communications got crossed or something happened where I felt like you were ready to fight. You wanted to run a fade with me as if I were saying Giannis's block was better, which I never said.
Yep.
So, sir, let's talk about the top 3 moments in NBA Finals history.
Yep.
I just want you to know I did not include Giannis's block, but I did include LeBron.
Look, West Coast dudes do fades, right? So I'm just playing. We're not fighting.
I thought you wanted to run the fade when I said it. I'm not going to lie.
All right. Can I hear your top 3, man?
All right, top 3. I have to go. Look, I'm a KG fan.
Yep.
I know where I'm at.
Yep.
Bro, it's corny. I don't give a damn. I still get chills. Now, game 6 was more dramatic. They came back. They beat the Lakers. That was a better game.
Yep.
But like game 7 to beat their ass, Ate.
Yep.
Oh my God. I mean, seeing it now at the time, I was loving seeing Kobe just so dejected and disgusted. Celtics whoop them up in game 7, and then my man KG gets you with the anything is possible. Bro, I watch that clip every single time. I love it to this day. So that's number 3 for me. Yeah. LeBron's block, that 2016 chase down, game 7, Warriors, everything at stake there. If he doesn't make that block, they lose.
Yeah.
And the one thing, they show the clip of the block, but you being a basketball savant like you are, I know you appreciate this as well.
Yeah.
It's the whole following LeBron, the trail, like running the full floor to make that block is what's so impressive to me. Hustle, grit, dog. Love it. And then number 1. Bro, you could make this whole list on Jordan moments.
Yeah.
You could make the whole list on Jordan moments.
Yeah.
I'll just give the GOAT one, the steal against the Jazz in 98 in game 6, and then the push-off jumper follow through.
Yeah.
That's goated forever, bro.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. Look, I have that one as number 1 for me.
You have to.
Yeah, I love that moment. It's great. I also want to give an honorable mention since you pointed that one out. I want to give an honorable mention for the shrug because I love the shrug. Like, just the story behind it too, with them saying that he couldn't shoot and then coming out and making 6 threes in the first half and just hitting them with the shrug. It was just the perfect moment. And then I also love whenever you watch The Last Dance, you saw the security person, he was the meme with the shrug. So that one was great. Obviously, I have Bron and Kyrie shot synonymous with each other. I have them together.
Okay.
At
Same
the moment,
game, right?
Same game, game 7.
Right.
Obviously, the block was amazing.
Yeah.
And the shot just to really cap it off. He gets a switch on Steph Curry. Like it's just like the world is watching. It's such a big shot.
Yeah.
And then third, obviously I grew up watching the Lakers. Boo, boo, boo. Okay, whatever. We hear it, Boston fans. I grew up watching the Lakers, but that AI stepping over Tyronn Lue is one of my favorite moments in basketball history.
Yeah, bro.
Like, it's so, reprintable. You see it on T-shirts and billboards and commercials, and kids are now trying to do it to their teammates and stuff like that. So I got to go with those 3. That moment, man, it was, obviously as a Laker fan at the time, it wasn't, it wasn't great. But now that I'm not, have my allegiance to Lakerland, I can really, really appreciate it.
Listen, for those of you just joining this fine program of Hold My Banner, first of all, welcome. Okay. Secondly, Ante is from Inglewood. So what else would you expect? Of course, he grew up in Lakerland. He grew up a Laker fan, but he's here now, and we love him, and he's repping them season. By the way, I also know this because I get the messages all the time.
Yeah,
we are showing our age because, look, our oldest memory here, our oldest moment from the finals is in the 90s.
Yeah.
What do you want us to do? I mean, those of you at a certain age, respect, bow down. I wish I saw prime Larry Bird in the finals. I wish I saw Havlicek and all these great players. I didn't. So I've learned about these things working in this business. We know about all this stuff, but I didn't see it with thine eyes. And we're talking about our top 3 moments in NBA Finals history. So there you go there. That was well done, Ante. I don't have any problem with any of your list. So listen, I want to turn this over to our guy, George Balecki now, who actually caught up with the local comedian who stole the show at the Tom Brady roast. You remember her?
Yep.
Sam J. She joined George and talked about her Celtics fandom. So let's check that out.
You said it's going to be Celtics in 5.
Yeah.
What would them winning that title first since 08 for the Celtics, what would that mean for you?
For me personally?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'd be so happy. I always equate, I don't know. I just feel like, when your city's winning, it's like, if you're really from a town and you have a town with a strong sports identity, a little bit of your own identity is connected to that identity. So whenever one of our teams is doing well or wins, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have like a good year in my career. Things are gonna go pretty well for me this year. Like, so I'd be really jazzed.
It is. It's a city where it's truly palpable when like a team's doing good.
Yeah.
Like Sox in 21 when they made the ALCS run. That's all anyone's talking about. The Bruins the last 2 years.
Yep.
The Celtics 2 years ago was a heartbreak, and the last year coming up short. But this time, like this team's ready.
This team is ready. Yeah.
You know what? Like, do you have a love-hate with this team because like the letdown they have, which I would understand, and like you have the guys that are like so talented, like Tatum, but it's like, dude, just like play like you're 6'10", you know?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely love hate. You know what I'm saying? But I think any good team gives you that.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's good to have those expectations.
It's been a long relationship too. You know what I'm saying? So we've been watching JB and Tatum since they were kids. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of expectations that we have. There's a lot that we want, like parents, we want to see for them that may conflict with what they want to see for themselves. You know what I mean? It's like that whole relationship is very real.
Yeah.
That's why when it wins, it matters so much too, because you've just been like on this journey with them the whole time.
I know. 6 conference finals. It finally got through on 2 of them. Come up short in 22. Come short on expectations. I like how you compare it to being like a parent of them too, because what I love watching in this whole playoff run is like Jaylen Brown bringing it all together.
Yeah.
His defense. People are still texting me making like left hand jokes. I'm like, yo, his handles are tight. Like he's fine.
That left.
I know it'll be a little bit, but but like overall, it's not as like egregious.
Yeah. No, he's gotten a lot better, and he's just gotten a lot better at his overall game.
Yeah,
and being a leader out there. Like I definitely was concerned about that for a while. Right, that was one of my biggest kind of things. Is like, who is leading out there? Who's in charge?
Yeah,
who's the captain? Who can we point to and say that's the guy? Yeah. Right, when things are going crazy, who does the ball need to touch to get us back in line? And that I didn't really think that person had emerged. But I will say in this playoff run, I'm seeing JB emerge as that person.
Boom,
and
agree.
I think that that's really cool. Just when he was mic'd up last game, just the things he was saying on the side, the way he was talking to everybody, how intentional he was, you know? I thought it was really cool. It seems like he's coming out and he's kind of taking that and claiming that and becoming that. And in that, him and Tatum are finding their rhythm. As frustrated as we could be with Tatum not scoring a bunch of points, and I would like to see him just let it go a little more. And I do think that he's become way too focused on being an assist man and helping. And I think what happens is later in the game, he's off because he hasn't been shooting the ball. And now it's like, now you're trying to go be the scoring guy, and you're a little bit off because you're not in a rhythm, you know? But I think he'll find a balance. But I do appreciate that he is also saying, hey, my game can adjust to be whatever it needs to be to win. And I think in that, as frustrated as those other things could be, the tandem is figuring out how to play well together and how to play well together in a way where they could keep winning championships.
That was a great take. That was great.
Thank you.
You could do sports talk. But I mean, you hit everything. Like I'm thinking here, I'm like, agree. And it's a coaching they have where you'll see Tatum go in right to the cup, and then he passes it out. You're like, why didn't you take the easy look? Because Joe Mazzulla wants 45 threes a game.
Yes. And he wants a certain percentage, go for the high percentage shot. Yeah.
And Tatum's like, if I have 16 potential assists and it sets up my team. So, Mazzulla's in his head like, I need to do 16 potential assists.
Yes.
Then it gets late and you see him doing like a weird turnaround jumper. It's like, bro, you're 6 for 18. Go to the cup, play
weird
big.
Handle in there.
I know.
Weird something or other. And you're like, ooh.
He's stuck between 2 decisions.
Yes.
And you got to be decisive. I think it's if anything you do, especially the speed that they play.
And that's what it looks like sometimes too. Like he gets down there, they collapse on him, and it's like he's thinking about shooting it, then it changes his mind, then he dishes it, and it's like, well, that was a bad pass. That was passed into traffic. Why would you do that? Yeah. And it is that kind of stuck between 2 things. And I do think it kind of does lie on Mazzulla a little bit of he needs to tell him when he can let the chains off and go crazy.
Agree.
You know what I mean? Like Mazzulla's got to go, okay, now it's time for you to score.
Be that dude.
Be that guy. I don't need you to do all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Go. And he needs to hit that button at the right time and kind of like set Tatum out in the right way.
But I give Mazzulla credit and it's also, it's Brad Stevens in the roster construction, where it's like Tatum was 1 for 7 in the fourth in game 2, 0 for 4 the final 7 minutes, missed 2 dunks. And then when there was that Tatum block, PJ Washington, he gets stopped by JB and White. JB came down and had the game icing bucket. And I think, again, that goes to the growth of Jaylen Brown. If, like, he can lock in. You go back a few years, that's a get ill-advised, like, turnaround 3-point shot. I'm exaggerating.
It is.
Or it's an awful turnover.
But I will say, 3 years ago, I still was like, I think JB's the guy.
Yeah, really? I always thought Tatum, but this one shifted. You know what?
He could say 3 years, I was like,
Because
it's JB.
He was great in the finals.
It's JB. Because you could just tell he
wants it. He wants to be in that moment. His mentality.
Yes. And it's not like the guy in a way that's like dissing Tatum. It's just like in those moments, he's the one who's like, he turns on, no one's going to beat us.
Yeah, he's going to be a dog there.
Yes, he's going to be a dog.
And it's like you want that for Tatum because he's talented, but they're the people that aren't that great. You're in New York City. Jalen Brunson's an undersized guard. But you need him to drop 40 game after game after game. He'll do that. What Jaylen Brown's doing, especially defensively on Kyrie, he's taking one of the best offensive players, most talented to ever do it, locking him down on the perimeter, knocking the ball out of his hand, just completely getting into his head.
He's just becoming that guy all over. Even when
huge
when
for
you
him.
watch the Miami run. At one point, I'm like screaming. I'm like, why are you guys? Who's going to stop Bam? Because apparently, you're just going to let this dude do whatever the hell he wants. And then you see Brown switch on him. Like, no, this has to stop. We're not doing this. Like, nah. And it's like those type of decisions, that's when you start to see a player really emerge, you know?
Yeah. And he did it game 1, picking up Doncic full half court.
Yeah, like, we're not doing this.
Game 2, not caring. He's like, I'm a switch. He's like, enough
that
of this.
Attitude, absolutely.
Who would you pick for Finals MVP? Gotta do it too. You had a great take there.
I mean, if it keeps going this way, JB.
Yeah, same. Now, if Tatum has like a 35-point game,
I think he's gonna have a breakout game. I want to say, I think we're gonna win the first game in Dallas. I just do.
Agreed.
I know people don't believe in that, and I think Tatum's gonna have a breakout game on the road.
Okay, I like that. I think it's JB. I want Brown to get it. Because it shows that Eastern Conference Finals wasn't a fluke. He had that shot in game 1. He had the 40-point outing. But what he's doing both ends of the floor.
What he's doing at both ends of the floor is phenomenal.
It would be cool to see the validation for him, too. Because he got clowned nonstop when he signed that Supermax.
Yeah.
And he took it and it motivated him. Like, he came back a better player than he was last year, the year before.
And that I thought was really cool, too. He took the money and he got better.
Right? That never happens.
Yeah.
Never happens.
Sam J is awesome, Ante. That was a great interview. Great job by George Balecki, as always, as well. Such a conversational interview style with him. I love watching all his interviews, and that was another one that didn't disappoint. But something stood out to me, Ante, where there's just certain cities where you could talk hoop with people and they know what they're talking about. I mean, just listening to her break everything down. Boston, obviously one of those cities. L.A., New York, Chicago, D.C., I got to rep home. Like, there's certain places when you talk to folks from there that are just fans, you could tell right away they know ball.
Yeah. Yeah, she knows ball, no question about it. My thing is, I love her take about having Jaylen Brown, obviously, as the guy and him coming into his own and winning Finals MVP. What I want to throw back to is what you talked about before and during your beginning rant, saying Drew Holiday would be number 2 for you. And then Jason Tatum 3rd. I think it's crazy how you say you're going to defend this man, Jason Tatum, and then tell me that he's 3rd for Finals MVP after being great defensively.
Yeah.
Great on the boards.
I know.
Great facilitator. It's just the one aspect that's really not happening for him, which is the scoring. But he's getting a lot of good looks that he can make. They're just not falling right now. So what's up with that, Travis?
Hey, man, listen, all my takes, I talk a lot all day long. I'm not saying I'm right every time. If he has a breakout game, I think Tatum leapfrogs Holiday and Brown to win this thing. But if things stay the way they are and Drew Holiday keeps balling the way he is, I think he's got a shot at it. Tay, as always, we appreciate you, my man. We'll bring you back for the next Hold My Banner. Folks love to see me struggle on these games that you bring, so we'll do that next time as well. And by the way, for more Sam J, check out Boston has entered the chat. Tune in on Nesson's YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you follow us on all of your social media accounts for all of our best content. All right, I want to end it here the same way I started. You know, obviously the Porzingis injury is concerning to all of us, but this is what happens, okay? The guy got hurt in the postseason. We had to wait for him to get healthy. All right, he comes back. He gives you a couple games. He gives you a boost, and he gets hurt again. This is a reality of Kristaps Porzingis. We knew that when he was acquired, or as Ante said, it was fleeced for him to be acquired here. Cool, fine. But now I just think being at home, my prediction is, with or without Porzingis, by the way, but likely going to be without him, I think the Mavs find a way to win a game. The question is, do they win 2? If they win both in Dallas, we got real problems here. I know it's Houston we have a problem. Could be Dallas we have a problem. But I'll just go Game 3, Mavericks figure out a way to get it done, And then the Celtics, knowing they don't want to play that 2-2 series tied game, find a way to get game 4 done. Come back here. Series over. Banner 18. Loading. Anything is possible. And anything is possible on Hold My Banner. Till next time when we do it again. For Travis Thomas and Ante Campbell, we'll see you next time when we hold that banner again. Peace.